John Parker, born July 13th, 1729, died on September 17th, 1775, making him 47 years old. He was an American colonial, a farmer, a mechanic, a soldier, a colonial militiaman, and now a meme. He commanded the Lexington Patriot Militia. At Lexington, early in the morning, at around 5 a.m., 700 British troops went out to capture Patriots. They marched into a much smaller army of 77 men under John Parker, who was for the Patriots. The Americans were outnumbered and were told to disperse among the green. As they began to leave, a shot was heard and a battle began. Parker tried to control the battle quickly because they were outnumbered. He kept the casualties to a minimum of 8, and 10 of his men were wounded. The skirmish was now over, and he would have time to relax until the next battle at Concord. They had much to prepare for. Just as the British were attempting to do, here they got word that Samuel Adams and John Hancock would be at Lexington Green, hiding from the British. On April 19th, 1775, the Revolutionary War began. Parker's revenge occurred. It was after the Lexington Green incident, and it was at Concord. Parker's rule was to not fire first. As it said in the quote earlier, he said, "Don't fire unless fired upon, but if they do want to have a war, let it begin here." An ambush for his men's bloodshed at Lexington Green would occur. During the Redcoats' return to Boston, they were bloodied and killed because of what they did at Lexington. Parker was able to turn an organized march into a disordered retreat for the British. His actions here showed that he not only had the ability to control a small group of men, but was able to do so and take over a much larger army. Parker also saw action during the 7 Years' War. He saw action during the Siege of Louisburg in 1758, and also during the Battle of the Plains of Abraham in 1759. Although signs were not visible, John Parker was dying of tuberculosis. This was occurring during the battles of Lexington and Green. He still showed his focus towards the battlefield and was focused on one goal of prevailing over the British Army. Although he was never to see independence, he surely fought hard for it, dying 5 months after battle.
Francis Smith was born in 1723 in England, United Kingdom, and grew up to become a British officer. He, too, led the battles of Lexington and Concord. He was a commanding field officer and also served during the Siege of Boston, Battle of Long Island, and the Battle of Rhode Island. Francis Smith, being the one with one of the most military experience, was given the opportunity to lead the British into Lexington and Concord. Smith did not know that the challenge he was going to take was almost impossible. During the Battle of Lexington, Smith informed one of his men, Major John Pitcairn, to not engage the colonists in order to take precaution, and to not lose a large number of casualties. By the time Francis Smith arrived in Lexington, it was too late. Pitcairn decided to engage. The result was that 8 Patriots died and the rest retreated. This was when the first shot occurred. Smith would later lead his men to Concord. From there, he and his men experienced heavy gunfire from the colonists. The British were not able to fight back and had to retreat to Boston. Although Smith and his men did not get the job done, it showed Smith's perseverance and awareness to escape a tough situation and to shorten the list of casualties. As Smith retreated, he wanted to receive British guns to help him out. Later on, Hugh Percy, the 2nd Duke of Northumberland, came in to support the British retreat into Boston safely. After the battles, Francis Smith became promoted to Major General. Smith's intelligence on the battlefield helped the British from death. He became a huge part of American history, where the Revolutionary War commenced. Francis Smith later died in 1791 at the age of 68.